What's up, everybody? So we're back out in the shop with another daily vlog, and guys, the weather is nice outside. It's still cloudy and all that, but it's not raining, it's not super windy, it's not hailing and all the other bad stuff that was happening last night. So we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna work on this. So today's goal, we're gonna get bevels done, we're gonna get heat treat done, and then we're gonna decide whether we want to acid etch this or not. I don't know if I'm going to acid etch and stone wash or if I'm just going to acid etch. So I have acid etched a file before and it turns out awesome, but I've never acid etched and stone washed a file knife. And I figured, I mean, this is going to be made for me, so I'm going to do some of the cool things that I think look awesome on a knife. It's not for a customer. So we're going to hop into it. We're going to, like I said, work on getting those bevels done. We're going to work on getting a good heat treat on it, a good temper cycle on it, and then go from there. So let's jump into it, see how it turns out. Now we're going to go ahead and mark the edge so that we can then use our wooden block scribe that we have to scribe a center line for the cutting edge. I like using this wooden block when it comes to the files and rasps and things like that, because my calipers don't do very well when scribing down on files and rasps. Now when it comes to doing the bevels, we're going to start with an older 40 grit belt, and we're going to go in at a pretty aggressive angle and do about a 45-degree angle, and then we'll be changing it to a newer belt after that, but right now just get this nice steep angle on it. And when it comes time to really start working on the bevels, we're going to be using a new 40 grit belt, and we're just going to feather it back from that cutting edge and get the bevel angle that we want after that. And whenever I'm doing this, I'm just slowly pushing onto the spine of the knife and just rocking it back to finally get the bevels as high up as I want. And one of the things to remember is that you're going to be doing a few different grits of belts. So don't go all the way when it comes to doing the bevels on the lower grit belts, because whenever you start getting to the higher grit belts, you're going to eventually work to the amount of bevel that you want on there. So I left a little bit up at the top with the 40 grit. Now we're going to use 120 grit, and we're just going to smooth out the bevels and go ahead and work it all the way to the spine so that we have a full flat grind. And this is helping get rid of the deep scratches from the 40 grit at the same time. Now it's time for the medium Scotch-Brite belt. And of course we take the plunge line jig off to do this step. But we're just using this to really smooth out the bevels and put a nice finish on it. And then before we go into the heat treat, we're going to go ahead and use the chainsaw file here and put in that sharpening choil. It's a lot easier to do this before the blade is hardened. Now let's go ahead and light up the forge. get ready to heat treat. I like using this little piece of angle iron as a baffle. It keeps the flame from going straight onto the blade. And I know that this looks hotter than it actually is, but it's because my shop is dark on purpose. But we quenched it in 120 degree peanut oil. Now what we want to go ahead and do is use these medium Scotch-Brite belt to go ahead and start putting a good finish on this knife for the next step, which is tempering. I like having a real smooth finish to where I can easily see the color of my steel after it gets done tempering. And I will tell you that before I do this, I do clean the steel. So I take and clean all the oil off of it from quenching. I use Windex to do that. And then I go in and hit it with the Scotch-Brite belt, and then go in and clean it with acetone before we go into the temper. I'll talk about that more in just a little bit. I am leaving a little bit of the file markings on the spine so you can see that. We'll hopefully have a good amount of that left whenever we finish. And then we're tempering 2 cycles at 375 degrees for 1 hour. Alright, so let's go ahead and wrap up today's daily vlog. And I want to talk to y'all for a second about tempering your knife. So what you're looking for when people say you need to temper it to a straw finish, that is the finish they're talking about. You want it to be a straw color. This is straw color. And that is the finish that they're telling you to look for. Now, you can be tricked to think that you've went past this, because when you go to a bluish or a purple finish, you've probably tempered it past where you want to go, and now you got to reheat treat it and then retemper it again. But some people get tricked into thinking that they have over-tempered their knives because they didn't clean the steel before going into the oven. And those oils on your hands can actually create that blue and purple area. So let's say you pulled it out of the oil, you just kind of sort of cleaned it, and then you put it in the oven. If you do that, it will turn blue and purple everywhere where that oil was. As opposed to if you take and you clean your knives. So if you watch me, I will take the knives, bring them inside. I end up cleaning them, completely clean all the oil off of them, and then I take it and I hit it with the Scotch-Brite belt, and then I'll go ahead and I'll clean them with acetone even after that. And then I take them, only holding the handle, and I put them in my little clamp jig that I have that goes into the oven, that little piece of angle iron. I'll put that in there, and then that way I have not touched the blade again at all. Put it in there, let it temper so that I can see the color, and I know that I have no oils or anything like that that are going to mess with my eyes when it comes to knowing that the knife is tempered or not. So that's just a little tip. Now, what we're going to be working on next video is we are going to probably go ahead and acid etch the knife. I do not know if I'm going to acid etch and stonewash, or acid etch and leave it black, or acid etch and then sand the bevels and leave it like that. The reason why I would do the sanding is, well, let's put it this way. The reason why I would do the acid etching on all 3 phases is on file knives. That acid etch really goes in here and darkens all the lines, so all the low points, so that whenever you go through and you sand everything else, it makes the lines stand out a lot. It's a lot of contrast. So no matter what, I will be acid etching the knife. What finish I do on the bevels, we don't know yet. you'll see that in next video. And we're also going to be putting the handle scales on in that video. Guys, you know, make sure y'all subscribe to the channel so you get notified for when we do our next video. And if you would, give this video a thumbs up, share this video or a video I've done in the past that might be your favorite. Guys, thank y'all for coming by. Thank y'all for spending your time with me. Y'all have an amazing day. Y'all stay safe out there as we're going back to work and everything's starting to open back up. Guys, I'll see y'all tomorrow.